All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're putting the ultimate fictional cheat code for wealth up against the very real mathematical systems that actually dictate your financial freedom. We're going to see exactly how the fantasy of instant riches completely falls apart when it slams into the modern debt machine. But more importantly, we'll look at how you can actually win in the real world using some really structured, boring, but highly effective systems. Let's get into it.
So imagine stepping into the shoes of Shen Yuan. He's this bankrupt student from our manga source who suddenly just unlocks a magical, perfect life system. I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves at some point, right? What if you had a literal wealth cheat code? In Shen Yuan's world, his family's massive 10 million won debt is suddenly no longer this life-ruining disaster. Instead, it's just a game he can completely hack.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate financial fantasy. The rule for his system is incredibly simple. Spending money on a high favorability partner instantly triggers a massive 3 times cashback reward directly to his bank account. Literally every single time he spends money, he gets triple the cash instantly deposited back. It is the absolute dream scenario, isn't it? Where spending doesn't drain your wealth, it literally multiplies it.
So, Shen Yuan literally spends his way out of debt. He buys fake designer bags for his teacher, experiencing the sheer euphoria of instant, effortless wealth. He even declares, "I've earned 8,000 yuan just by spending. This is youth. This is victory." It's a total dopamine rush. It's fast money, and yeah, it feels incredibly good. But, as we all know, that's pure fiction.
Which brings us to part 1, the reality check, when the real-world system actually works against you.
Because in the real world, nearly 42% of urban professionals are handing over more than 50% of their monthly income entirely to EMIs and debt repayments. Just think about that for a second. Before they buy groceries, before they save a single cent, half of their hard-earned money is already gone, just swallowed up by a system that actively profits off of their financial obligations.
Actually, I challenge you to pause for a moment and just divide your total monthly debt obligations by your income. Because if it's over 40%, you are trapped in a mathematical race that you simply cannot win. Seriously, add them all up. Your car loan, your credit card minimums, those buy now, pay later schemes. If that number is eating up nearly half your paycheck, you're basically running on a treadmill that's only speeding up.
And that leads perfectly into part 2, 5 traps keeping you poor. The hidden mechanisms of modern debt.
So these 5 traps completely normalize debt. It starts with an Anchor EMI, like a massive first car loan that suddenly makes a smaller phone loan feel like, just pocket change. And it ends with invisible subscriptions that just slowly bleed your account dry. Oh, and then there's the salary increment trap. This is where getting a raise magically results in you taking on even more debt to fund a lifestyle upgrade. It literally puts you in an even worse financial position than you were in before you got the raise. It's wild. But the crucial point is mathematically visible right here with the 10-year extension trap. Look, banks absolutely love to offer you a longer term to make that monthly payment look super comfortable. But choosing a 7-year option over a 3-year option, that means you're paying nearly 3 times as much in pure interest for a car, a completely depreciating asset that is actively losing value. It's a mathematical trap, plain and simple, designed to completely drain you.
And this brings us to the absolute most dangerous one. The minimum payment illusion. Paying just that 3% minimum keeps you locked in for over 2 decades. 2 decades, paying absurd interest rates. But if you just convert that to a standard personal loan, it clears the exact same debt in just 12 months. That minimum payment is nothing but an illusion, completely designed to maximize bank profits at the cost of your future.
So how do we fix this? Part 3. The lazy millionaire system, the boring reality of true wealth.
Unlike the chaotic, emotional roller coaster of picking individual stocks or juggling debt, the absolute smartest investors use index funds to simply and quietly own the entire market. Why? Because simplicity scales and complexity collapses. You really don't need to outsmart the market or predict the next big trend. Honestly, the more complex your strategy is, the more fragile it becomes. Just owning an index fund removes the need for all that constant, stressful, emotional decision-making. Shen Yuan's manga system was all about that huge dopamine hit of fast money. But real wealth, it requires the exact opposite. You need an automated, entirely emotionless system that leverages the slow, silent power of compounding. Fast money creates adrenaline, sure, but slow money creates structure. You set the system up once, you make it automatic, and then you just step back and let time do all the heavy lifting for you.
Which brings us to part 4, surviving the 3 phases and exactly why most people quit way too early. So in phase 1, we're talking those first 1 to 3 years. You basically just have to survive the urge to quit when your progress looks completely invisible. In those first few years, your compounding growth looks so incredibly small, it almost feels useless. And honestly, that's where most people quit. But if you can push through to phase 2, suddenly the growth becomes visible. And if you have the supreme discipline to eventually reach phase 3, well, that is when your system actually begins to replace your active income. That's when your money finally starts working harder than you do.
And this leads perfectly to our final concept, part 5, being rich versus being free, redefining the ultimate end game.
You know, the manga character just wanted to look rich. He wanted to feel powerful by buying all those designer goods. But true wealth is really about having systems that grant you total independence from active labor. Being rich often just means you have a really high income, sure, but you pair it with super high expenses and this massive dependency on your job just to keep the whole charade going. Being free, however, is about low dependency. It's about having those stable systems running quietly in the background that give you the ultimate luxury, infinite options with your time.
While basic savings accounts are fantastic for short-term safety, it is the lifelong ownership of assets, like those index funds we talked about, that genuinely buys back your time. Think about it. A high-yield savings account is basically a parking lot. Yeah, it protects you from immediate disasters, which is great, but you cannot build a legacy in a parking lot. Ownership of the market is exactly what transitions you from just surviving to actually being free.
And so I want to leave you with this really profound realization. Your answer to one specific question absolutely determines whether you're merely surviving the debt traps or if you are truly living free. Here it is. If your income completely stopped today, how long would your lifestyle survive? It's a heavy question, I know, but by escaping those EMI traps, embracing simplicity, and letting that lazy millionaire system compound quietly in the background, you can actually slowly change your answer, from a few weeks to a few decades to forever. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Get out there and start building your system today.